Today we're going to be talking about 8 rules to be a successful wide receiver. Now the first tip to being a successful wide receiver is understanding that everything is a fade until it's not. Whether it's a 5-yard hitch or a 15-yard comeback, we are trying to get that DB to either backpedal way out of there or open up his hips and run to think that we are running a fade route. So when I put the brakes on, I can get some separation. So how do I self-fade? It's about 3 specific things. Number 1, body language, frequency. What I mean by that is keeping your body language the exact same from point A, the start, all the way to point B, the break. So let's say I'm running a 5-yard hitch. I don't want to come off the ball like I tell my receivers, keep your chin down, act like you're pulling a sled. You want a slight forward lean, but I don't want to come off the ball at that slight forward lean. Then right before I'm about to break, I pop myself up so I can drop down. That raise of your chest, the change of the frequency, tells the defender a break's coming. It's no longer a fade. Everything's a fade until it's not. Second thing is your stride frequency. So I don't want to get off the ball with these long strides and then start to shorten them up right before I break, because when I start to shorten the strides, tells the DB a break's coming, changes the frequency. Then last but not least, your speed frequency. I don't want to run up and then slow down and then cut, because the second you change speed, the second you change body language, that DB knows that it's not a fade, he stops himself, and we get locked up on my route. Now we just released, fellas, our next 3 camps that we will be hosting this upcoming off season. We're going to be coming out to San Francisco, California, Orlando, Florida, and Phoenix, Arizona first. We'll be adding 12 more states to the tour, but we want to give you guys early access to these 3 states because all of our camps last year sold out within the first 2 to 3 months of us announcing it. So guys, if you want to attend our first 3 camps, San Francisco, Orlando, Florida, and Phoenix, Arizona, check out that very first link in the description below. We'd love to have you there. Let's get back to this video. Now the second key to be a successful wide receiver is have a trigger phrase anytime that you are in a dropping slump. I know a lot of wide receivers, like, we get the questions, we get the comments of guys will be running routes and they feel like they're good, but then they get in these dropping slumps where everything they do, every ball's thrown at them, they're dropping it over the shoulder, low passes, and they can't figure out how to get out of that drop slump, if you will. Focus on a trigger phrase. So a trigger phrase that I'll tell my receivers a lot is pretend your eyes are a camera, and at the catch point, take a photo of the ball. Does that have to be the only thing you think about? No, that may not click for you in your mind. Every athlete's different. Sometimes I'll tell wide receivers, catch the 4 points of the ball, so they focus on the 4 points, but anything to get you to have that freeze frame where you're looking it in will get you out of that dropping slump. So find a good trigger phrase, guys. Keep that on repeat in your head and you will be a more consistent pass catcher. Now the third rule to be a successful wide receiver is have a plan of action off the line of scrimmage based on the DB's leverage or shade. So a lot of times receivers, like, there are tons of different releases, moves that you could use. We post a bunch on our channel. I know there's a million different things out there on social media, and a lot of receivers get very confused because they have 20 to 30 different moves that they think they know or they think they like. So when they come up to the line, they panic, they go, I don't know what to do, and then they just end up running the route. You need to have a plan of action. You need to have 5 to 6 different releases that you like, that you're comfortable with, versus the different press coverage looks that you know you will see. So you should have a release. Let's say this red cone's a DB. That's inside shade press, right? Say the ball's over here. My favorite release is a crossover. So I like just a 1-2, attack his leverage and go. Let's say the DB is, for example, outside shade here. I like just a simple jab step. So we jab to the outside and then go. Those are 2 releases that I know I like, that I'm comfortable with based on the leverage of the DB. So guys, you gotta have a plan of action. Don't just come up to the line and think you're gonna figure it out, because the game goes very fast. What if you're in a no-huddle offense? You don't have that luxury of sitting there reading it. You need to have a plan as you're going up to the line to be more successful versus press. Now the next rule to being a successful wide receiver is do not force a press release versus a specific leverage. What do I mean by that? So let's say you have to run a post route, guys, and let's say this red cone is acting as the DB again, and he's inside shade press. Just because you're running an inside breaking route does not mean that you have to take an inside release. That's what a lot of wide receivers think. A lot of wide receiver coaches preach that. That is just simply not the case, and I want to explain why. Now, if it's predetermined, like your coach says, hey, it's a mandatory outside release or a mandatory inside release, then yes, you got to release inside, you got to release outside. But if it's not predetermined, you take what the DB gives us. He's inside shade for a reason. He does not want us to go to the inside because he doesn't have help there. That's why he's shaded to the inside. If he had help inside, he'd be outside shade because he doesn't have help outside. Wherever he is shaded, the opposite direction is where he has help. So if he's inside shade press, his help is the sideline. So he wants me to just take off and run to the outside and force me out of bounds. Now I know what you're thinking. You just said take the outside release, take what he gives you. That's why I need to have a plan off the ball with my release to attack his leverage, to get him to move, to give me more space to the outside. But if my game plan is, okay, I'm gonna go here, fake outside, take this inside release, his job is to not let me go there. He's gonna get hands, which which disrupts timing with the quarterback. And if I end up running my post and I'm all the way over here, and my slot receiver is also running a post or a dig, and I'm right on top of him, guys, that's not enough spacing. One defender could guard 2 routes, and that's bad. So take what he gives you. So what I mean by that, let's make him think we're going inside. It's the best way to get him to move. Take what he gives me to the outside, then let's go work at the top of the route. We could stack him, get him trailing me, or he's on my hip. Maybe I swat and I slip under, but at least you have spacing. At least you kept timing and you didn't get jammed up off the ball. Now, the next rule to being a successful wide receiver is learn how to block. So there's 3 things that you want to keep in mind when it comes to blocking a DB, making yourself an asset in the run game. And this is how a lot of you wide receivers can get on the field and earn a starting role, by improving your blocking and showcasing this in practice. Number 1, don't try to take the DB's head off. You don't want to just run up super fast and try to get hands on him and block, because you're out of control. All it takes is one quick cut, the DB's around you, then he's going to make a play. So guys, approach the DB under control. You come off the ball, you want to be under control. Now, second thing, and this is what a lot of guys do when they go under control, is their feet die. So they're here and their feet are very flat, and then they try to get hands, one quick swat, and then you're done. So keep your feet active. Be under control, keep your feet active. Then number 3, get low. Simple thing, especially for you guys that have been playing tackle football for a long time, 8, 9, 10-year-old guys, since you've been playing for that young, stay low. The low man is always going to win. You keep hands active, keep your hands on this DB, and drive. Keep a good strong base, active feet, and be under control when you approach that DB. The next rule to be a successful wide receiver is to work on your speed. Guys, if you're a receiver, you need some speed. You're going up against DBs who every single year, think about the NFL Combine, right? Who runs the fastest 40s? Who runs the fastest pro shuttle times? DBs. So you need to have some speed to be able to compete against those guys. So there's 3 things you could do to work on your speed. Number 1, explosive movements in the gym. I think a lot of wide receivers make the mistake of just training like bodybuilders, doing bench, doing curls. Well, that's great if you need to put on size, but don't neglect explosive movements. As athletes, we have 2 types of muscle fibers. We have fast twitch fibers and slow twitch fibers. Fast twitch fibers are developed by doing all-out effort in the gym. That's what fast twitch is, exerting all-out effort. So doing box jumps, single leg box jumps, Olympic lifts, exerting all-out effort will help you improve or increase those fast twitch muscle fibers. Number 2, train with some type of resistance. So running up hills, running with a sled, running with a parachute, that type of resistance training will ultimately help your speed improve on the field. Then last but not least, guys, I recommend either running track or investing in a speed coach. I prefer a speed coach because sometimes the track program at people's schools is not the best, because a lot of them are volunteers. They're not getting paid for their time, so they may not be as knowledgeable. Some of them are great, I'm sure, and if you have a great track program, fantastic. It's pretty much free, and it's a great place to work on your running form. But I recommend investing in a speed coach, because a lot of athletes think they have good running form, but they really don't, and there are areas that you can improve on, like your foot strike, your arm swings, your body language. That will help you get faster, and it translates to wide receiver play. Now, if you're a wide receiver, fellas, and you struggle with knowing exactly what to do to work on your route running, your speed, your catching, your press releases, getting bigger in the offseason, check out that second link in the description below for our elite wide receiver training package. What it is a 2-month daily training schedule for receivers in the gym and on the field, with specific exercises and drills that you can do. We break down exactly the sets and reps to do, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday type schedule, everything you need to be a successful wide receiver. So check out that second link in the description below if you'd like a 2-month daily schedule. Now, the 7th rule to being a successful wide receiver is understanding full play concepts. A lot of receivers just think that, oh, let's use a slant route, for example. A lot of receivers think that, okay, I'm running a slant, it's the same way every single time. That's just simply not the case, you guys. There are times where the quarterback might be doing like RPO footwork. What's an RPO? It's a run pass option, where he's here, he's reading an outside backer, sets his feet and throws his slant. That takes a little bit longer than a quarterback who's just doing catch, one step, and then throw. You have to understand play concepts, so when you come off the ball with a release, a different move that you use on a route, you can maintain timing with the offense. I can't tell you how many receivers, they're running a slant and it's quick game. Quick game is where the quarterback takes one step in shotgun and throws it. They'll come off the ball, they'll slide, they'll do all this fancy release, they come out, and the quarterback's waiting for them to get out of their break, which allows other defenders to recover and be able to make a play. So when you do that patient release, it has to be a patient play. It can't be just, oh, like first read, for example. If you're running a slant, it's a first read play, let's get off the ball fast, take a quick 3 steps so we can get in and out of this route and maintain timing. So how you know that is understand full play concepts. Understand the quarterback's reads, how he goes through his reads, so we can be more successful with my releases. Now, the 8th and final rule to being a successful wide receiver is work with your quarterback and your quarterback only in the offseason. So a lot of times what receivers will do is they'll go play on different 7-on-7 teams, different club 7-on-7 teams, and they're building chemistry with the quarterback that they will ultimately never play with. As a receiver, you guys, you're only as good as your quarterback. And in the offseason, your goal should should be developing chemistry with your quarterback. So if your quarterback is playing on a 7-on-7 team, you should be on that 7-on-7 team. And vice versa, a quarterback should be asking his receivers to be on his team. There is no benefit in working with other quarterbacks from a chemistry perspective. Now I understand it. Maybe your quarterback plays a different sport. Maybe he doesn't play 7-on-7. You need to find other times to build that chemistry with them. Going to his quarterback coach, training with him on the weekends when he has a free moment or a free day in his schedule. But again, if you're playing 7-on-7, please try to play with your quarterback.